Now, Michael Bueckert is a Ph.D. candidate in Sociology and Political Economy at Carleton University in Canada. He believes this Trump notion is bolstering, among others, a biased North American media, which he says are pushing their own white genocide content, which they use to bolster their own white supremacist views. He now joins us via Skype from Ottawa in Canada. Michael, thank you very much for joining us. I read your article and I wondered, where do these views emerge from? You do not seem to really think very highly of the AfriForum. Let's start there.
Well, it's not just AfriForum. It's a whole network of both South African and international alt-right networks and organizations. I think the key thing to realize about this tweet is that it really shows how the alt-right, the far-right internationally, has been able to hijack the conversation on land reform. Partly that's because of ignorance over the issue, and part of it is because there's a real eagerness to work together on behalf of both those in South Africa who support who are opposed to land reform, as well as those in Canada, the US, and Europe who see the South Africa example, and the idea of a crisis in South Africa is very useful for them ideologically because it allows them to push for their own views, which are quite racist, against refugees, against Muslims in Canada, for example. And so I think there's really an alliance here between those Afrikaner white nationalists in South Africa and then far-right outlets like InfoWars, like Breitbart, like Rebel Media here at home, who are using this issue to exploit for their own use.
Now, what do you say? Would you attribute Donald Trump's tweet to the AfriForum's trip to the US?
Yeah, I think that's probably true. It's not just AfriForum. I think last year, Swedelanders as well, which is even more of a fringe group, a civil defense Afrikaner group, they had a tour of the U.S. and they visited a lot of the same people that AfriForum did earlier this year. So that's sort of been in the works for a while. But then AfriForum in May of this year, I mean, they visited with Republicans. They visited with the Cato Institute, who was on Tucker Carlson's show last night. They also had an interview with Tucker Carlson himself where they were pushing these theories. We also know that Donald Trump, he tweets whatever he watches on Fox News, so it was perhaps inevitable by the time that Tucker Carlson was on board that he would be pushing and endorsing this white genocide theory. But I do think that the work has been put in by a number of actors, including AfriForum. Although I will add that although the tweet mentions the large-scale killing of farmers, in Tucker Carlson's interview yesterday, he didn't actually mention farm murders. And so it suggests to me that Donald Trump is not just reacting to the news, but he has other files that he's bringing together, that he's been influenced on this issue probably for a little while.
But then what kind of a media institution is this, Fox, which goes on a tirade based on a lie? I mean, their story really, it's pathetic to say the least, because it doesn't reflect in any way what the South African government has said, nor what the ANC has said. What are we dealing with here?
Yeah, I mean, Fox News doesn't have a good reputation generally for being objective or in touch with reality. But I do think we have to give credit to the hard work of those like AfriForum, like Swedelanders, like the alt-right defenders and promoters of those ideas, people like Lauren Southern or Katie Hopkins, who have a major platform to spread their very racist theories. And so they've been working very hard to promote these theories and to get larger conservative and right-wing networks on board. And so I think it's just gotten to the point where their work is paying off.
What are some of the things, whether outrageous or whatever, which AfriForum or any of their alliance partners in the north of America been telling the Americans and perhaps the Canadians that side?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things. The propaganda, Where to start? So on one hand, Lawrence Southern has been telling people that farm murders are in a crisis situation. It's the same thing that Afroforum has been saying, and Sweetlanders, that these people are telling Americans and Canadians that white farmers are being systematically murdered in a process of ethnic cleansing or white genocide for the purpose of taking over their land. And some of them even put forward the conspiracy theory that members of the ANC, of the government, are directly telling criminals to go out and kill white people. And so this is something that they are educating North Americans about. They're also boosting to a high degree places like Orania, the whites-only town, and segregation itself as sort of a solution to this problem, this made-up problem to a large extent. And they are also giving a lot of credit to Sweetlanders and the idea that white people in South Africa should, if they can't leave, then they should arm themselves and prepare for a coming race war. So it's really serious, very extremist positions that they are now have becoming quite mainstream thanks to Trump's tweet.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly, this gives these theories a lot of momentum, a lot of energy, where they've been sort of circulating on the dark corners of the internet and have slowly trickled into more mainstream conservative spaces. And now everyone knows about South Africa and the supposed land grabs and large-scale killing of white people.
Michael Bueckert is a Ph.D. candidate in Sociology and Political Economy at Carleton University in Ottawa, Canada.